Today has a Giant full suspension bike. Giant Trance. It's a 27.5-inch wheel, and full suspension bike. Just exactly 140 millimeters of travel, and that Maestro kind of pivot suspension. I'm going to be right where I'm going to bicycle now. Let's go down here for a second. I think it was kind of very crunchy ground here, but this bike is a 2x10 gearing. From what I understand, okay quality of components, fine for me. I think this is where I took, right around here, took a couple of pictures. One was further back with 4x5. But one was during the fall, several during the winter, probably right from around in here, showing the, of course the trees have changed here now, and just trying to get back into shape here. So, going only a short distance. These new full suspension bikes are really amazing. How plush the ride is. Go over everything. Very nice ride. Check them out here. No problemo. Very rough terrain, staying in control. Handlebars on this are really wide, plus I have bar ends, ergo grips and bar ends, so really wide, I have to watch. But just on normal stuff like this, the ride is so comfortable, it really saves your back. No motorized vehicles. And I've also, this is brand new, obviously, but I have a beautiful shot of this using a 5x7 and either Ektachrome, I think it was Ektachrome film, back in the old days. Again, back in the late 80s to early 90s, it came out gorgeous. It's cold out, but these, it's another thing, I have these sealskins, extreme cold gloves. They have liners inside of them. I've even used them on a motorcycle when it was cold, and no ice. That's nice. Well, stop there for a second. And, beautiful bike. Climbs well. So, here, but this is where, well, the suspension's still so great, but that bike, I feel more confident on that ice. But not bad, didn't fall, didn't slip. Bicycles can. Hopefully, they're okay. There's 140 millimeters, a lot of travel, 5.5 inches. only knew that there was, except for that, there was a bump underneath it. There was a rock I was going over. Furnace right there on my right. Maybe hit with the pedals. Hit another one. Really climbs well, even though I haven't adjusted anything. We're going uphill, steep or not. Some kind of ambulance. Oh, there's somebody. Can't see it, but there's actually two people out on rowboats. Rather, two rowboats out. So, let's see if I can actually do some bicycling. Gotta come back when I get better shape. Do more. Here he is. Rolling along. Trail after about 7-inch snowfall. That was tough because it was so melted and refroze. It was crunchy. Yeah, I noticed the pedals on this. So, this is absolutely, this is nice scene, but in the fall with the foliage, this is gorgeous. Oh, they felt those. Terrific. I remember it being in the summer, spring or summer, being rained on, really rained on here, being a lot of mud and not, I'd ridden pretty good, some pretty steep trails, and came back up this thing and couldn't make it up. That's the steepest downhill I've done in a long time. Whoa! Shifting has been good so far. Hasn't really broken in yet. But pretty good. Further up, if I was to go all the way up, it's a very steep and rocky trails. Very pretty. Used by horses also, so you have to be careful. Some of the trails they don't want mountain bikes on, because they scare the horses. Some horses anyway. Oh. And to my left here, straight ahead now, go back to the, this is the road I was on before. And let's do a little trip up here. Amazing to me how this thing goes over everything. The ride remains very nice, very comfortable. The ground is crunchy, which means there's some ice underneath there on the lawn here. You can see some of it right there. So it's pretty cool, I think. Riding up here. Without any harm done. Very few people here. I probably could go down these stairs. But I am going to go back and try to at that left part of the lake. Ready to go back to the other side here. This is going to be interesting. Crunch. A little bit higher up. Waywayanda means lake on top of the mountain, which indeed this is. It's a depression filled with water on top of the mountain. We've been able to go up this with no issue. This slight rise here. Different now. Got up it. To get that aerobic conditioning back, get up the hill from just gasping for breath. So all that bicycling has paid off, but I have to keep it up. Nice. Love the sound of the mountain bike tires going over dirt and gravel. I just like that. Much better than road bicycling, really. And full suspension, awesome. This is a Nikon D750. This is an awesome full frame digital single lens reflex camera. There's a mirror in it. The trend is towards mirrorless, but something like this, which is fairly small, not too heavy. This is a tripod clamp I have on it. Really should take it off right now, but it's even with a 28 to 300 lens, it takes awesome pictures. Very sharp, very good control of noise. In the film days, you'd call that grain. You can make huge blow-ups off of this, but just such a great camera. 6.5 frames a second, and depending on what RAW or JPEG mode you use, it could capture quite a few of those in one batch or one run without letting up. 6.5 frames per second for a full frame 24 megapixel camera is pretty good. Not as fast as some other cameras, but they don't have the image quality this does. This has dual card slots. So I could be taking pictures all day between the amazing battery I have in here. Battery go for about 1,000 shots. 28 to 300 I found is a pretty good lens. It's not going to be as sharp as prime lenses, and this is a lock, so you don't have lens creep while you're carrying it, or if you're just going to use the 28 millimeter. The 28 millimeter, which is these days a mild wide angle on a full frame, that is a 35 millimeter size chip, to all the way to 300, which is a pretty good size telephoto. Very versatile lens, especially for walking around like what I do these days. Closest thing in film I've had to this would be something like an F5, which had a little bit faster frame rate, and that was, of course, pulling film. Yeah, this looks It almost looks like the same trees from way back when. That looked good. Good. It's so evenly lit because of the overcast that I don't need HDR. I mean, HDR could help because it gives you could actually do something in the software that gives you a more micro contrast, which makes it apparently sharper. So, again, Waywayanda Lake. Not pretty much fast, rather than with the 4x5 you have to be standing here and taking minutes to do spot measurements. What are the different tones? Where are you going to place the exposure for the mid-tones? In other words, what shutter speed and aperture are going to give you the depth of field you want, stop motion if you need to, and then also allow you to later process the film. This is talking with a single sheet camera, film camera, to allow you to develop it in a way that will kind of bring the highlights back. Expose for the shadow, make sure you get detail in the shadow, and then develop for the highlights. I still remember that from, I don't know, how many years ago, 20 or more. This HDR does kind of the same thing. Takes a bunch of exposures, especially with a camera like this, you can take up to 9. And so you spread apart the, you take one exposure for the deep shadows, several for the mid-tones, maybe another one for the deep shadows, just changing the shutter speed from low to high, if that makes any sense. And then blending them all together, and you blend all those pictures. The series that you took for the shadows, the series for the highlights, and the series in the middle for the mid-tones. And it's actually gives you more, a bigger latitude, a bigger range of tones from dark to light than film did. Even though I'm taking a shot here with, here's a shot I took, just one lens, and that one I just took was at around 80 millimeters. And since this is full frame, 80 millimeters gives you the angle of view that an 80 millimeter lens gives. So from the film days, that's really why they call it full frame. It's the same size as 35 millimeter film. They're virtually the same. As I keep rambling on, really amazing tool, because even at something like ISO 3200, which is pretty high speed capture, which means you can take it in pretty near darkness, 3200. The autofocusing here, it does have manual focusing as well, but the autofocusing can work down into very dim light. And if you can't do that, you can certainly, focus manually, and you can use a little bit of depth of field. This lens is not a fast lens. Its maximum opening, I think, is f3.5, as opposed to f2 or f1.4 of really fast lens. f2.8 even is much faster, a couple stops faster. But then, besides holding it at a high ISO, which means you're going to have a somewhat better, several stops better shutter speed at any given focal length, you're also going to have the image stabilization that's built into the lens. So that really makes for a tremendous tool. So your pictures are not only sharp because the sensor is so great, the optics of the lens are pretty good for such a wide zoom range, but the fact that you could use high ISOs, high speed captures, very sensitive. You're increasing the sensitivity on the chip, and you can use a zoom way out to 300. That's pretty powerful stuff. Pretty powerful stuff, and allows you amazing versatility. Yep, here's all the boats. Let's see if we can take a shot. Done this before too. Pretty cool. Just so easy to kind of swing back and forth. Let's see if we can get. It's great, very versatile lens. So what you lose in kind of sharpness, you can make up for in software, plus the fact that you have to be cropping. But, thank you for watching.